The election is now. In the remaining days before the election, we need to focus as much as possible on voting. My friends and I over at Culture Surge have spent some months researching and developing a storyteller's guide, which consists of a core story and 6 storytelling threads that can capture audience attention and mobilize people towards collective action. These storytelling threads are designed to spark your creativity. They are about a freer, more just, and joyful future. So let's dig into these. Number 1, together we have power. These are stories of personal and collective power. Now, I know this may sound obvious, but keep in mind that our culture is overwhelmingly about individual gain, not collective power. Much of what we see is all about the individual hero. We need to show how people can win together. This is an art piece that I made using this theme. Notice the 2 figures pointing in the same direction, working toward the same goal. Number 2, there is abundance. These are stories that show that there's more than enough for everyone. The dominant narrative right now is scarcity. Stories about scarcities make it okay to spend a lot of money on the military and police while people are facing massive unemployment and a housing crisis. Our current leaders have been really great at manipulating stories of scarcity to position people against each other. Scarcity makes people experience fear and act out of interest only for their own community. Instead, we can create stories of abundance that remind us that there are resources available for us. Number 3, we lead by caring about each other. These are stories that show people caring about each other and their communities. I know it's a very basic thing, caring about each other. But caring about each other is critical at this moment in history. In this country, there is a severe lack of care, including healthcare and caring for our frontline workers. As a global society, we are facing a crisis of care. We are seeing the ways in which capitalism doesn't value care. But guess what? In order to stay healthy and do our best to not get the Rona, we have to care for people. Here's an example of another image I did with this theme. We don't want our loved ones to get the virus. And if they do get it, we're going to do what we need to do to make sure that they get the resources they need for their care. Number 4, we deserve joy. The next story pillar is one of my favorites. Stories of joy and self-care. We all deserve joy. It's something that motivates us and inspires us, and it's also contagious. Number 5, we all belong. Stories that show that we all belong and have value. The virus is disproportionately affecting and killing Black, Indigenous, and Latinx people. When we all belong, we don't leave people behind. We recognize them as valuable members of our community. Elders, disabled folks, essential workers, and we ensure that they have the protections they need. And the last one, number 6, curiosity is the path to our best future. Stories of curiosity about each other and society. Stories of people asking bold questions about the future we want to build. In our current political culture, there's the idea that we should not be asking tough questions to our elected officials. Sadly, it's viewed as something negative and unpatriotic. But let's remember that systemic change only happens when we ask bold and big questions. An example of this is the fossil fuel industry that is collapsing right now. The fossil fuel industry, or oil industry, has been largely responsible for the climate crisis because burning these fuels is causing global warming, threatening our entire human species. We have known for decades that we need to move towards a green economy. Because of the massive slowdown of the global economy, there are millions of gallons of oil sitting in ocean tankers right now. The price of oil has plummeted. Right now is precisely the right time to ask, can this be the end of oil and the start of a green energy future? We must keep asking the hard questions. Do we really need police in our communities? Is it time to dramatically reinvest in our schools and teachers and educational infrastructure? Is it time for universal health care? When we ask big questions, it prepares our hearts and minds for the possibility of change and prevents us from getting stuck in one way of thinking. So there you have it, folks, our 6 story threads. As artists, consider how the art you make can reflect these themes. Give it your own flavor. These themes about our yes will move people more than just telling folks to vote because of what they don't want. Let's dig in a little deeper to one more critical thing to include in your artwork, and that's information about how to vote. In the past, it was enough to say vote on November 3rd, but that's not our reality anymore. Saying November 3rd is kind of limiting because that's actually the last day you can vote. This year, we gotta encourage folks to vote earlier. And we have to help them see the many options that they have to vote. We can remedy this with solid information and by showing the new kinds of behaviors we have to adopt this year en masse. Those behaviors are: make a plan, vote early, vote by mail, wear a mask when you go vote. Consider how you show these behaviors in your art. In this piece by Ben Brown, we see how a Native woman is voting at the booth with a mask on. The intergenerational message is also powerful. The child is wearing a mask and is watching her mom exercise her democratic rights. I also did a piece about this theme, with the double meaning of voting for our Mother Earth. I put the words vote prominently on the top. After the first 2 pieces that I showed you earlier, I realized that vote had to be more front and center, and that I needed to add more about how to vote. I learned a lot in the process of creation. So pro tip, start doing your art now. Here's another great example from Voto Latino. Request your ballot right now. That's like the first thing I read. The urgency feels pretty clear, so I'm really feeling the joy in this image. A great way to sum up all these messages is to tell folks to make a voting plan. You know, just like we make a plan for putting together our Halloween costume, it's kind of like election season more than it is election day. Let's make it fun. Let's remind folks of their power. If we encourage folks to make a plan with friends, we can move larger groups of people. Something like, miss party planning? Form a vote squad. Vote together, spread the love, form your vote squad today. We have plenty of examples for you in our guide. We're looking to reach Black, Indigenous, Latinx, AAPI, MASA, young people, and women. We are focusing on the key states of Arizona, Georgia, and North Carolina, where our collective efforts can make the most impact. Let's take action. I hope y'all feel inspired. There are so many people out there organizing and doing critical work. But organizers and political strategists can't do what artists do. Make people feel, taste, smell, and hear the better future that is possible when we work together and engage our communities. Teamwork. We can help set the narrative. This is our moment. I can't wait to see what we create together. Peace out, y'all.